Kate Smith with AM Best TV. We're at the IIS Forum in Singapore, and joining me now is Dr. Nihar Jonglei. Dr. Jonglei is the director of the Climate Change Program at the Microinsurance Academy. Dr. Jonglei, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
How big of a risk is climate change?
Climate change has severe impacts on communities all over the world. It is further increasing, and the impacts that we see are an increase in sea level. We have more droughts, more heat waves, more floods, coastal floodings, change in precipitation pattern, in monsoon, all the different things. But frankly speaking, we always had these kind of problems. The thing is that climate change is increasing the frequency of these events and the severity. That is the main problem. And the other issue related to that is that rural communities, especially in developing countries, are more exposed to these risks because of their livelihoods. They depend on agriculture. They do livestock rearing. And also their health is impacted by it. So they're more vulnerable to these risks.
What impact is microinsurance having on closing the protection gap?
You know, roughly 4 billion people in the world are uninsured. That's half of the population. And most of them are living in developing countries. And most of them are in rural areas. The challenge here is that we don't have a very good answer to them right now. We know that insurance is potentially a very, very effective tool, and the global community is accepting that more and more, but we have to cater to the needs to get the buy-in of the people. So far, we have focused more on heavy subsidies and mandating insurance by linking it up to loans. But this did not lead to an uptake that we want to see. So we have to try something else. And what we could try, what has worked in Europe, is a mutual and cooperative model. This is how insurance started in Europe. And even if you look today, the mutual and cooperative sector has been increasing. So this is a proposition we can give to the communities because this is a proposition that creates trust.
India has a high penetration rate for microinsurance. How did you achieve that?
So there are two things. India is a huge country. We have more than 1 billion people living in India. And India was also the first country which adopted a microinsurance regulation. So we were forerunners in that case. We experimented with different kind of models of health insurance and crop insurance. But one challenge we see is the focus was, like I said earlier, mainly on subsidies and mandating. So we don't see the voluntary uptake as much as we can see it. So it is not yet the full success model, but I see the interest of the government to experiment a little bit more, and I see the interest of the insurance to try something new. Because we have to reach out to the people, we have to create demand. Only if we create demand, supply and demand can meet, and we can create a real free market for insurance.
What can other countries do, or what should they be doing in order to replicate the type of success you've had?
Many countries look up, or not look up to India, but look at India, what is happening. Many countries in Africa and other parts of Asia. What they could learn is they could learn from our mistakes and our successes, because there was a lot of experimentation happening in India. But furthermore, I think also India can learn from other countries. For example, in countries like Rwanda, they have a mutual model, which is a combination of top-down and bottom-up. These are things which could also be implemented in India. Then in many of these societies, developing countries, in rural areas, what works best are communities. People trust each other, and insurance is about trust. We have to leverage this.
Dr. Jonglei, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
For AM Best in Singapore, I'm Kate Smith.